Hi everyone and welcome to the Lockdown 2020 Dental Education Easter Special, and I'm really pleased to see you all. Happy Easter to you all. Today I'm going to be making some chocolate cupcakes with an Easter theme, and of course I've incorporated something dental in there too. What we're going to do to start with is we're going to take 3/4 of a cup of sugar. So at the moment I'm doing double quantities. I'm going to tell you what the quantities are for 12 cupcakes. The quantities I'm making today are for 24 cupcakes. For 12 cupcakes it will be 3/4 of a cup of sugar. I'm going to pop that in the bowl, and then we're going to add half a cup of oil. So for double quantities it's going to be 1 cup of oil. And we're going to mix them with our mixer. Now, to that mix of the sugar and oil, we're going to add 2 eggs if you're making 12 cupcakes, and 4 eggs if you're making 24 cupcakes. And if you get any eggshell in, you can just use your shell to pick up any extra bits of egg. These are so fresh because they are from a farm in Pennycook. And you want to mix them until it's a really light, fluffy mixture, so you can see it's nice and light in colour. Now, to this mixture, what I'm going to add is 1 cup of milk, so it would be half a cup if you're making 12 cupcakes. And I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of vanilla. And the type of vanilla I'm using is Madagascar vanilla. You can use any type of vanilla, it doesn't really matter. So here we go, 2 tablespoons of the Madagascar vanilla flavour. And we're going to add a couple of pinches of salt. And we're going to give it another mix. Now the next step is we're going to add our flour. So I've got 2 cups of self-raising flour here. You can also use plain flour and add the baking powder in. So if you're using plain flour, you'd use 1 cup of plain flour with 3 teaspoons of baking powder, or you can just use 1 cup of self-raising flour. And for the 24 cakes, I'm using 2 cups, obviously. It would be 1 cup for the 12 cake mix. We've made sure that the flour is mixed in really well, and what we're going to do next is we're going to take 4 tablespoons of cocoa powder. To that cocoa, what we're going to do is we're going to add cold water until we can make it into a paste. This is to make the cupcakes chocolate flavour. So what you do is you add in a little bit at a time, and it will start to make a nice paste. And the reason why I do this and I don't just add the cocoa powder in with the flour is because you'll see how much of the liquid the cocoa actually absorbs, and that's why sometimes some chocolate cakes can become quite dry. So if you do it in this way, it means your cakes will not be dry. So as you can see, it's made into a really nice paste, and it's nice and shiny and smooth, and that's what we want. So now I'm going to add that to my cake mixture, and we're going to give it another final mix, and that's it. It's all ready to go into our cupcake pan. So that's our mix already. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around the edges of the pan, the bowl with the spatula, just to make sure that we're all mixed in really, really well. And I can get rid of this now. And then what we're going to do with our mix is we're going to pop it into the cupcake pan and put it in the oven. The oven should be set at 180 degrees on the fan, and they go in for about 14 to 18 minutes depending on your oven. The way to test if they're ready is with a toothpick, or if you touch them on the top, if they bounce back, it means that they're ready. If your finger leaves a depression, it means that they're not cooked through. So that's how I know if my cakes are ready. So I'm just going to be putting it into this cake pan, which I've prepared. So the cupcake pan is all ready with the liners, and I'm just going to put it in. So the way I like to fill up my cupcakes is using a syringe, because it's something medical and it just makes it so much easier, and you get them all really nice and uniform. And so this just helps to appease my OCD by giving the same amounts in each cupcake. So here we go. I've had to modify this syringe slightly by cutting off the tip and widening the opening at the top. But it's been a very trusty tool in my baking tools. Okay, so that's our cupcake pan all filled and ready to go in the oven at 180 degrees. And once they're ready, we can start decorating them. And while they're in the oven, I'm going to be making the buttercream frosting that we're going to use to top them. So for the toppings and decoration for the cupcakes, what I'm going to be making is 2 different buttercreams. And the reason why I'm doing this is I'm doing 1 vanilla, which is going to be green, and 1 chocolate, which is going to make the nest for our Easter eggs to sit in. So we're going to do the green for the grass to go around the edges of the cupcake, and the brown for the nest. And what I'm going to do is I've got 1 block of unsalted butter, and I'm going to use half of it for one of the mixes, and this is just softened sort of room temperature butter. So I've got 2 bowls. You can do them one at a time. So that's half of that block of unsalted butter, which is about 250 grams of butter going into there. And what I'm going to do is just make sure it's really nice and soft, and then I can start to sieve in the icing sugar to it. What I do is I add in the icing sugar until it starts to make a nice buttercream, and I'll show you what else I'm going to add in on the way. I'm going to add in some vanilla flavouring again, vanilla extract. I'm going to add in some glycerin, which just helps to make the buttercream really nice and easy to pipe onto the cakes. I've got some green food colouring for my green, and I've got some cocoa powder for the chocolate flavoured one as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by sieving in, and I just add in 1 sieve full at a time to the butter to make the buttercream. So once I've mixed in about 2 or 3 sievesfuls of icing sugar, I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. And then I'm going to add in a teaspoon of the glycerin. And like I said, this just helps it to pipe better onto the cakes. And I'm going to add in for this one some green food colouring. And this is actually quite strong food colouring, so I'm just going to add in a tiny bit at a time, and until I get the right colour that I want. And just keep mixing. So this is what the mix is looking like so far. I'm gonna add some more icing sugar, and then I'm gonna add a bit more green food coloring, I think, as well. Now, if you feel like your mix is getting a bit dry, like it is here, you can add in a couple of tablespoons of milk. That just helps to soften it up, and it means you can add in some more icing sugar as well. So I'm just going to add a splash of milk, and that'll just help to loosen up the mixture. And then I can add some more sugar, icing sugar, because what you don't want it to be is really, really buttery. So we want a nice flavoured buttercream. And it's starting to become a nice green colour as well. These colours sometimes darken when you leave them, so what I'll do is I won't add any more right now. I'm going to wait and see how the colour develops while I'm making my cocoa mix, my chocolate buttercream, and then I'll decide if I want to add some more or not. But I'm just going to add a little bit more icing sugar just to get it to the right consistency for piping. Okay, so that's my green buttercream ready. I'm going to leave it to the side while I make the cocoa one, and then I will put it into my piping bags. So we're just going to do exactly the same thing for the chocolate one, but instead of adding the green food colouring, I'm going to add in some cocoa powder, which I'll sift in with some of the icing sugar. So that's my cocoa buttercream all ready. If you can see, it's a really nice chocolatey colour, and that's going to be the colour of the bird's nest, which I'm going to put the eggs in. So the next step is I'm going to put them into some piping bags. I've just checked on the colour of the green and I quite like it, so I think I'm going to keep it like that. So I've got 2 piping bags ready. One is going to be for the green, for the grass. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put them into disposable piping bags, which I find are really easy to use. And this is how you fill them. So we're going to pop the tip right up to the end, and then we give it a little bit of a trim with some scissors. So the end is just popping through like that, and turn it inside out, put it around your hand, and then you can start to fill it, like so. And I find putting a little IKEA food clip at the top is really useful, just to get that sealed, and makes it easier to hold as well. Same thing again, this time with the brown. So for the icing sugar, it was about double the amount of icing sugar to butter. So for every 250 grams of butter, I used around 500 grams of icing sugar. But I don't use exact amounts because I like to see the texture and the taste as well. So here we go. That's our brown one already. And just pop a clip at the top. And like I said, that helps to hold everything inside and also makes it very easy to handle. So now we've got our icing ready. And we've got our cakes ready. The next step we're going to do live with you on Sunday is to decorate the cakes. I'm really looking forward to it. I'll see you then. So here are the cakes. They're all nicely baked evenly, and once they've cooled down, we're going to be decorating them together using our green for the grass, brown for the nest, and I've got some nice Cadbury mini eggs to put in the nest, and I've also got a little tooth to join us for a toothy Easter. Happy Easter, everyone!